Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna. I am Rajarsi Dasa. Welcome to Hare Krishna today. On today's program, we're going to conclude the subject matter of the soul and the super soul. Two more questions, but we covered one pretty much already. Number 6, what is Sanatan Dharma? And 7, what does the image of the two birds on the same branch conjure up for you? That one we discussed to some degree already. Let us look at the question of what is Sanatan Dharma. This is a very interesting subject matter because the word Sanatan literally means without beginning and without end, or eternal. And Dharma means duty, engagement, religion, as people would translate. So now, what is Sanatan Dharma? We generally understand that there is really one religion in existence in the world, one God and one religion, and that is all the souls are eternal, God is eternal, and religion means all eternal souls engage in eternal service to God. However, when the souls are in this material world under the spell of Maya or illusion, then in ignorance, under the spell of the mode of ignorance, passion, goodness, people have different conditioning, and so the Supreme Lord makes available religiosity in this world to gradually elevate people or to take them out of wherever they are situated. It's something like if someone call you up and ask you for direction, how they would get to where you are. The first question you may ask them is, where are you calling from? And then based on where they're calling from, you would give directions accordingly. So all directions won't be exactly the same, although the purpose is the same to get to you. But depends on where they're coming from, the directions may appear different. Well, religion is like that, is meant to gradually elevate and take people out of different situations. But the original state of all beings is to be engaged in eternal service to God. And that is what is being referred to as Sanatan Dharma, or eternal religion or eternal function of all souls. And that has nothing to do with Hindu, Muslim, Christian, and so on. So where you will find description of this Sanatan Dharma in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srila Prabhupada gives this information. Take a verse on page 16, 17, even 18. It's a long description, but we're just going to select parts of it. I'm just going to read a little bit about Prabhupada speaking about this concept of religion. The English word religion is a little different from Sanatan Dharma, which we are answering. Religion conveys the idea of faith, and faith may change. One may have faith in a particular process, and he may change this faith and adopt another. But Sanatan Dharma refers to that activity which cannot be changed. For instance, liquidity cannot be taken from water, nor can heat be taken from fire. Similarly, the eternal function of the eternal living entity cannot be taken from the living entity. Sanatan Dharma is eternally integral with the living entity. When we speak of Sanatan Dharma, therefore, we must take it for granted on the authority of Sripad Ramanuja Acharya that it has neither beginning nor end. That which has neither end nor beginning must not be sectarian, for it cannot be limited by any boundaries. So, this idea Prabhupada is saying of religion conveys the idea of faith. You're Hindu, you can change and become a Christian. You're Christian, you can change and become a Hindu. You can change from this, you can become that. But he's making the point that Sanatan Dharma cannot be changed. It is the intrinsic quality of the soul. The unseparated quality of the soul is to render service to God. So that is Sanatan Dharma, not this sectarian concept of religion that you can change. No, we're speaking about the eternal function of all souls. So Srila Prabhupada is making that point. That which has neither end nor beginning must not be sectarian, for it cannot be limited by any boundaries. Those belonging to some sectarian faith will wrongly consider that Sanatan Dharma is also sectarian. But if we go deeply into the matter and consider it in the light of modern science, it is possible for us to see that Sanatan Dharma is the business of all the people of the world, nay, of all the living entities of the universe. Non-Sanatan religious faith may have some beginning in the annals of human history, but there is no beginning to the history of Sanatan Dharma, because it remains eternally with the living entities. Insofar as the living entities are concerned, the authoritative Shastras or Scriptures state that the living entity has neither birth nor death. In the Gita it is stated that the living entity is never born and he never dies. He is eternal and indestructible, and he continues to live after the destruction of his temporary material body. In reference to the concept of Sanatan Dharma, we must try to understand the concept of religion from the Sanskrit root meaning of the word. Dharma refers to that which is constantly existing with a particular object. Now, Prabhupada already gave the example. You cannot take away liquidity from water. If it is water, then it's liquid. If it is fire, then there is heat. You cannot take away heat from fire. That's the unseparated quality of fire. Dharma refers to that which is constantly existing with a particular object. We conclude that there is heat and light along with fire. Without heat and light, there is no meaning to the word fire. Similarly, we must discover the essential part of the living being, that part which is his constant companion. That constant companion is his eternal quality, and that eternal quality is his eternal religion. When Sanatana Goswami asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the swarup of every living being, the Lord replied that the swarup or constitutional position of the living being is the rendering of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we analyze this statement of Lord Chaitanya's, we can easily see that every living being is constantly engaged in rendering service to another living being. A living being serves other living beings in various capacities. By doing so, the living entity enjoys life. The lower animals serve human beings as servants serve their master. A serves B master, B serves C master, and C serves D master, and so on. Under these circumstances, we can see that one friend serves another friend. The mother serves the son, the wife serves the husband serves the wife, and so on. If we go on searching in this spirit, it will be seen that there is no exception in the society of living beings to the activity of service. The politician presents his manifesto for the public to convince them of his capacity for service. The voters therefore give the politician their valuable votes, thinking that he will render valuable service to society. The shopkeeper serves the customer, and the artisan serves the capitalist. The capitalist serves the family, and the family serves the state in the terms of the eternal capacity of the eternal living being. In this way, we can see that no living being is exempt from rendering service to other living beings, and therefore we can safely conclude that service is the constant companion of the living being, and that the rendering of service is the eternal religion of every living being. Yet man professes to belong to a particular type of faith with reference to a particular time and circumstance, and thus claims to be a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, or an adherent of any other sect. Such designations, Prabhupada is making it very important. Such designations are non-Sanatana Dharma. A Hindu may change his faith to become a Muslim. A Muslim may change his faith to become a Hindu. Or a Christian may change his faith, and so on. But in all circumstances, the change of religious faith does not affect the eternal occupation of rendering service to others. The Hindu, Muslim, or Christian in all circumstances is a servant of someone, thus to profess a particular type. Thus, to profess a particular type of faith is not to profess one's Sanatana Dharma. The rendering of service is Sanatana Dharma. Factually, we are related to the Supreme Lord in service. The Supreme Lord is the supreme enjoyer. We living entities are His servitors. We are created for His enjoyment, and if we participate in that eternal enjoyment with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we become happy. We cannot become happy otherwise. It is not possible to be happy independently. Just as no one part of the body can be happy without cooperating with the stomach, it is not possible for the living entity to be happy without rendering transcendental loving service unto the Supreme Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, worship of different demigods or rendering service to them is not approved. It is stated in the 7th chapter, 20th verse, Kama istaista hrita jnana prapadyanti devata tantang niyamam ashtaya prakritya niyata swaya. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Here it is plainly said that those who are directed by lust worship the demigods and not the Supreme Lord Krishna. When we mention the name Krishna, we do not refer to any sectarian name. Krishna means the highest pleasure, and it is confirmed that the Supreme Lord is the reservoir or storehouse of all pleasure. We are all hankering after pleasure. Anandamaya Bhyasat, Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12. The living entities, like the Lord, are full of consciousness and they are after happiness. The Lord is perpetually happy, and if the living entities associate with the Lord, cooperate with Him, and take part in His association, then they also become happy. The Lord descends to this mortal world to show His pastimes in Vrindavan, which are full of happiness. When Lord Sri Krishna was in Vrindavan, His activities with His cowherd boy friends, with His damsel friends, with the other inhabitants of Vrindavan, and with the cows were all full of happiness. The total population of Vrindavan knew nothing but Krishna. But Lord Krishna even discouraged his father Nanda Maharaj from worshipping the demigod Indra, because he wanted to establish the fact that people need not worship any demigod. They need only worship the Supreme Lord, because their ultimate goal is to return to His abode. The abode of Lord Sri Krishna is described in the Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 6th verse. Natad bhaseti suryo nashashanko napavakaha yargatavana nivartanti tat dhama paramam mama. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. So, we're getting valuable information here, that when we are speaking about Sanatan Dharma, we are not speaking about these temporary religions and faiths that can change. We are speaking about the function of all souls, whether now they claim to be Hindu, Muslim, Christian, whatever. All souls have an eternal function, and that is to serve God. That's the constitutional position of all souls. Srila Prabhupada gave the example that no part of the body can be independent or act independently and experience happiness. Just for example, the hands. The hands must cooperate and feed the stomach in order to be strengthened, nourished, and so on. These hands, if they go on strike and they decide we're not going to feed the stomach, then the hands will become weak. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked about the function of all souls, his reply, Jivira Swarup. Swarup means constitutional position, original function. He said the Swarup, or the constitutional position of all souls, Nitya Krishna Das, eternal servant of Krishna. That's all souls' position. But when we're in ignorance of Krishna, that means when we are covered by Maya, as Krishna says, Mohitam na abhijanati. When the souls are in this moha, or in this deluded state in this world, Krishna said, na abhijanati, they don't know me. And who? Tribhir guna mayid bhavair, ebhi sarvamidang jagat. Sarvam, the whole jagat, the whole universe, the whole world, everybody, they're deluded by the spell of Maya. These are called upadis, false designations. I am Christian, I am Hindu, I am Muslim, I am man, I am woman, I am this, I am that. And based on these misconceptions or upadis, we hold on to certain temporary engagements without knowing the ultimate truth. So the ultimate truth or the ultimate perfection is described. Sarva upadhi vinirmuktam. Sarva means all. When a person gives up all these designations, these upadis, and Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam, he simply links up, engages the senses. Rishikesh is Krishna, the master of the senses. So when he engages the senses or link the senses with the master, Bhaktir Uchiti, that is called Bhakti, or the soul's original function, is eternal function. That's called Sanatan Dharma. Bhaktas engage in Bhakti to Bhagavan, God. So the one actual religion in the world is the eternal souls, being Bhaktas, are meant to be engaged in Bhakti to Bhagavan. But when the souls are in ignorance of God, then what are you serving? You may have all kinds of limited and misconception. That's why it is said, anyone who doesn't know Krishna is misled. And his so-called progressive march is either partial or hallucinatory. Anyone who doesn't know who is God, then what is your service? Who are you serving? So is there any wonder that the deluded souls in this world have misdirected services? Any wonder? Where are the thoughts, words, and deeds of the conditioned souls directed? Where is it directed? All thoughts, words, and deeds to God for His pleasure? Certainly not. It is directed to the ignorance of the body, that I am this body and I'll be happy by directing everything towards the body, contemplating objects of the senses, trying to just contact the senses with objects. That's the dharma, that's the religion of the souls of this illusory world. So this thing about religion, religio, to relink, yoga, to unite, union. The English word yoke comes from that Sanskrit word yoga. Because we want to be happy. And the only way we can be happy is when we link up to the reservoir of all pleasure. God is Janmadi Setaha, him from whom everything comes. He is all attractive, Krishna, the all attractive, Rama, the reservoir of all pleasure, Bhagavan, the possessor of all opulences. So the secret formula is the linking. Ramante yogino nante satyanande charatmaniti rama padenasho param brahma vidhyati. The yogis, they link up with the Lord because he is the reservoir of all pleasure. So they tap into that source just by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We are linking with that source of all pleasure, and then the illusion will be dissipated in course of time. So this is Sanatan Dharma. I'm Rajarsi Dasa saying Hare Krishna, and do join us again next week for the next subject matter, which is Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Oh